So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Coinbase Developer Platform event for a staking API product. I am your host, Kanan Severin, Engagement Manager here at Coinbase. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Super excited to have everyone tuned in. I know the people all over the world using our product, so everyone else is drop in the chat where you're from, where you sit in the world. I know we have people all over, so yeah, drop that in there. Let's see. While everyone does that, I've been super excited for this. This is, we had an Ask Me Anything event last month for our advanced trading API products, but then now running this one, we're going to do that in Q3 as well for a number of our different products. So CDP just as a whole has made a way for people to participate and essentially help any business or person in the world move on chain, in hopes that our tools are only going to become more efficient and effective, allowing us to participate in the success of the people building using our products. So super exciting stuff. Let's see here. Okay, let's see in the chat. Okay, we got people from Bay Area, Costa Rica. Okay, nice. I like it. Canada, Missouri, Bay Area again, originally from India, LA. Nice. San Diego. Okay, good beach weather over there. Maryland to Dallas, New Jersey. I like it. We got people all over. We got people all over the world. Good stuff. So another thing as well, let's do this too. Also drop in the chat a brief description, one or two lines of what kind of projects you're building, or if you're here just to learn and listen, that's all good too. But if that's the case, put down educational value or something similar to that. But yeah, drop in one of the reasons why you're here. Want to make sure everyone's getting the most out of these events, most out of the content, most out of the speakers, and we can take that information and also continue to utilize that moving forward. While everyone does that, just want to call out that we're going to have some really awesome presenters for you guys today, share their insights, expertise in the topic, and it'll be really informative. Let's see. So Jim Tant Laundry, okay, got nice. DeFi protocol builder, amazing. Got people learning and listening. That's good. DeFi degen automation. Gotta love DeFi degen. Love that. Love to see it. Good stuff. Here we go. With that being said, let me introduce our speakers. Today we'll have Aaron Owusu and Nick Morgan, two subject matter experts in our staking API product, here to answer your questions. So Aaron is a senior product manager here at Coinbase, more specifically, the product lead for our staking API. And Nick is a senior solutions architect supporting our staking team and working with our community as they build projects and utilize the platform. So let me bring them up here, bring them to the stage. Okay. Nick, Aaron, welcome.
Hey, glad to be here.
Absolutely. Nick, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. How's it going?
Perfect. As it's mentioned, Aaron is a senior product lead for our staking API, and Nick is a senior solutions architect supporting our staking team and working with our community as well. So really good stuff. Glad we can make it happen. But before we get to your guys' presentation, I know you guys put something together, put some slides together. I want to kick things off with a couple questions just to give the audience an opportunity to understand you guys more and just how we got here. So Aaron, I'll start with you. Can you tell me, one, how long you've been at Coinbase, and share a little bit about your background and how you became involved in staking, and just how long you've been working on the product?
Cool. Yeah, sure. And also, I just want to say the hat coordination with Nick was not intentional, but I do appreciate that we're matching today. In terms of how long have I been at Coinbase? So I've been at Coinbase 3 years now. My third year anniversary was actually just on Friday, which was great to see and great to have happen. Anyone who's been in crypto for any amount of time just knows that 3 years is a long time in crypto. We've seen everything, I think, in the last 3 years. Probably, obviously, a lot more in the last couple of years, especially with FTX and obviously with a few of the exploits that we've seen on chain as well. So I think it's been an extremely interesting time within the industry. We've seen a lot of growth, and it's been exciting to just be part of that and driving a lot of that change as well. In terms of how I found myself in staking, I started off actually working within asset addition within Coinbase. So this was during our time when we were ramping up on our asset listings. We grew massively. Anybody remembers Coinbase back in the day? There were around 7 assets which we offered, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few of the kind of like smaller cap assets, I suppose, nowadays. And we decided to completely change strategy, and we effectively decided to add wherever possible every asset that we could. And that required a lot of ramping up just in terms of, I guess, the number of individuals involved, in terms of the technology, our platforms, and what we were asking of them. And so that was a fun couple of years just going through that period of time, working with the different protocols, getting to know a lot of the different protocol teams, what made them special, and making sure that we made those available to trade, to stake, to send and receive across all of Coinbase. That naturally got me very close to the protocols, got me very close to staking, and there was an opportunity to drive forward our API strategy for staking. It's an area that we're surprisingly absent in today, and that's something obviously we're now fixing. And so just excited to go into staking and really expose the world of crypto to even more users. We'll talk a little bit more about the product later on, but I'm truly passionate about bringing rewards to the next billion users becoming on chain. I think more folks need to understand that not only can they, secure the network and benefit the network that way, but they can also earn rewards for doing so. So I think staking is a great product, and it does an incredible service for the overall industry as well. So yeah.
Absolutely, I like it. Man, 3 years at Coinbase, a number of different products, number of different roles you've been in. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you to answer any questions from the audience, and as well share slides in the presentation moving forward. Nick, what about yourself? How long you been at Coinbase? Share a little bit about your
Tough
background.
act to follow. Aaron gave a really great overview. I've been at Coinbase for a little over 2 years. I think I hit 2 years end of May. And it's had ups and downs. Crypto industry is always keeping everything interesting. I started out my career as an infrastructure engineer at AWS. So I've always been interested in networking and how we can build things in the cloud. Coming to Coinbase as a solutions architect, staking was kind of that natural fit because we were doing a lot more kind of like dedicated validator nodes. How can we build against, thinking about the infrastructure directly? Over time, started to realize that folks really just needed easier access points to use the things that we're building. Because while we have great infrastructure, it was difficult to work between different protocols. It was difficult to manage your resources. So we've been working with the team to push towards an API-driven future and try and get everything under a really simple interface so that when you want to stake your assets, it's not learning an entire new stack. It's baked into one thing that we can help accelerate your building.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, making it a super easy and efficient way to use the products, move on chain. That's what we're trying to do here. So big time stuff. Glad you guys are here to answer questions, and just a little overview of what they'll be talking about, as they just mentioned, but rewards data. Also, we'll probably touch on partial ETH staking, and then users versus wallets benefits and more. So if you guys have any questions in the audience, please don't be shy. We have two goals when doing these Ask Me Anything events. One, we want to provide you with a deeper understanding of the topic, in this case, staking APIs. But then also provide an opportunity for our CDP experts, in this case, Aaron and Nick, to engage with the audience in a lively and informative manner. So it'll be good. And with that being said, we're also going to have a Q&A session towards the end of the presentation. But throughout the discussion, we encourage people just to ask any questions you may have. We want to make sure we have as much of a live interaction as possible. That's why we're here. We just ask that you just please keep your questions relevant to the topic, be respectful to everyone. And if you're comfortable coming off of mute, we'll try to pull folks up on the stage as well to ask Aaron and Nick directly. And this session is also going to be recorded too. So it's going to be available for viewing later on the Coinbase YouTube channel. So if there's something that comes up and you want to listen back to it, you'll be able to do that. And then when it's uploaded, I'll make sure to post the recording in the Discord. So with that being said, thank you again for joining us. Without further ado, let's get started. I'll hand it over to Aaron and Nick. You guys can take it away.
Cool. Appreciate it, Ken. Great introduction, and I appreciate the questions as well to start. Do we want to get going on the slides? Maybe we can start by just giving a quick overview of what Coinbase Staking API is. So many of you hopefully will be familiar with what staking is. Effectively, just the ability to take assets, put them at risk, but for a reward, right? And that reward is usually in the form of the native units of the asset that you've staked. Staking is important. It will add to the overall security of the network. It's used to help effectively fund the validators. If we look at Ethereum, for example, and that is important for everyone who's coming on chain, who's relying on something like Ethereum to be able to validate transactions correctly. It's what protects us all. It's what prevents bad actors. It's what allows us to have this trustless, permissionless industry that we all love. Something that we're really excited about within the staking world is not just the API, but the fact that we're now going to be integrated into what we're calling our Platform SDK at Coinbase. So Platform SDK is our I guess Coinbase's vision in terms of what we see the world of Web3 and on-chain development look like in the future. We want to support folks not just with the ability to stake, but with end-to-end support for enabling all types of crypto experiences, whether it be the ability to create wallets and manage wallets at scale, whether it be using verbs such as staking, being able to transfer, being able to trade. We want to provide these types of functionalities for all of those different types of use cases. And staking, we're really excited about, is now one of the verbs which is going to be supported in Platform SDK. And we're really happy with how it's launching at the moment and the types of functionalities that we're releasing. If we go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about those functionalities at a high level. And again, this is AMEA, so we will dive into some of these in a bit more detail. So the first one is that it's going to be multi-protocol. So it doesn't matter if you're trying to stake Ethereum, if you're trying to stake on Solana, if you're trying to stake on Polkadot, you'll be able to use one single interface to do it all. We've really focused on developer ergonomics, and we're coming out with an interface that is as simple as we can for the majority of developers, but still offers power users the ability to be able to create, I guess, more custom experiences as well. In terms of the interface as well, we focus mainly on two different models. One of the models is what we're referring to as kind of like end user custody model. But essentially what this means is that we allow folks to generate unsigned transactions that they can then go on and sign however best they want, or pass on to their end users to sign, and then broadcast that staking transaction on chain. And again, this is all through one single interface. You're not having to learn different ways in which to generate different staking transactions. You can use one single endpoint and use that to then create those unsigned transactions. The other option is to be able to go through what we're calling our developer custody model. So that allows folks to stake using, again, an even more simplified version of our commands. And that essentially allows you to pick your asset using, again, the wallets which you've registered in Platform SDK, and then simply just press .stake and actually have those assets staked to the protocol. And I should add, and I believe it is coming up as the next point, all of this staking is done on Coinbase infrastructure. So all of the different assets which are being staked directly to Coinbase validators. There is the option that we're looking at in the future, which will allow for more of a validator agnostic approach. But by default, we will be using Coinbase validators. And so you benefit from, again, our years of running highly secure, highly performant validator infrastructure with no history of slashing, and of course all of the benefits that typically working with Coinbase brings. And I'm sure Nick will probably speak a little bit more about that later on. If we go to the next slide, there's one more capability that I want to talk about. We think about stake a lot, but one key part of the user experience is also rewards data. So it's all well and good that you can stake, but I need to understand how much have I earned, how much am I being rewarded for staking with you. And it's not just the integrator, the developer who wants to understand this, it's also the end users as well. We, depending on where you are in the world, there's various different tax regulations which now require us to report our earnings in different ways. And so being able to provide folks with high quality data on exactly how much they've earned through their rewards, when they earn those rewards, and being able to allow them to fulfill whatever obligations they have from a reporting or tax perspective is becoming extremely important in 2024 and beyond. So with that being said, we offer the ability to pull programmatically historical and also pending rewards. So you can look back in time and understand, what was my staking balance? How much did I earn at a certain point? And you can build up a good picture of your overall reward history. And let's be honest, just understand how much your money's been growing, which is always nice to see. You can also, depending on the protocol, look at pending rewards as well. So again, for folks who want a better understanding of how their balance is growing and understanding what's going to be taxable in the future, this is a good approach for them to have a look at. And then the middle one, which I kind of mentioned at the start, is accuracy and trust. This rewards data that we're providing through APIs is actually the same rewards data that we use to power Coinbase retail and also institutional services as well. It's the same data that we rely on internally. It's the same data that we send out to our end users, and we trust it and we believe in it. We go through a lot of effort to make sure that the data is clean, and obviously in a format which makes sense for folks, again, integrating and trying to produce accurate reports for their users. And so firstly, accuracy and trust is going to be top of mind for us. And then the last one is about us being provider agnostic. So we acknowledge that not everyone is going to be staking to Coinbase. We acknowledge that, you have retail users or institutional users who may be using various different staking providers, and you shouldn't have to integrate to multiple APIs in order to create this uniform view of someone's staking activity. So we offer the ability to pull rewards data across any validator provider or staking provider, and essentially have that all be returned in a unified endpoint. And so the great thing about that is you don't have to maintain multiple integrations, multiple translations, maybe even define your own schema. You can rely on us to carry all of that heavy lifting for you. So I think rewards is, like I said, usually overlooked, but I think this is a very interesting area of, again, staking. And I think as asset prices increase, as more people want to stake, I think we're going to see this being a more important capability that we want to reward users with. Pardon the pun. And with that, I think to make it more real, we're going to switch over to Nick, who's going to talk through a particular type of product that we offer and a use case that we've managed to unlock with our partial weave staking capability. So Nick, maybe over to you and you can go from there.
Yeah, I think a core premise of our new APIs is being able to democratize staking, so that not just people who have these super heavy bags of Ethereum can participate in staking, earn rewards, and help drive the consensus mechanism in the protocol. So as part of that, we built this product called partially staking, but it's effectively just Ethereum staking without any minimums. It's a liquidity managed product. It's a product that manages the liquidity through a set of smart contracts on chain. We built this in partnership with Kiln. We've built it in such a way that when you deposit your ETH into an integration contract that we've partnered with several wallet providers to have offerings with, you're able to earn rewards starting on as soon as you deposit into the protocol. We do a bunch of smart contract work to make sure that your liquidity for exiting is available as fast as possible. So we're able to get exits for customers down to as soon as like 24 hours, which is much faster than normal execute times for Ethereum. And it lets you also be able to deposit. I've done it with 0.000001 ETH. Not reasonable given gas fees, but it is possible. We also provide our normal protections with infrastructure, which includes slashing coverage for the overall pool. This means that if validators that Coinbase runs were ever slashed, we will top up the overall pool to make sure that everyone is made whole. Note that Coinbase has not been slashed for double signing or downtime on Ethereum since we've been operating these validators all the way back to pre-Coinbase as Bison Trails. So since 2017, there's been no slashing event on Ethereum. All the validators are MEV enabled, so we're trying to maximize rewards amount. And then we do our normal best practices with cloud deployments. They're multi-cloud, multi-region, and multi-ETH clients. So we're running Prism and Lighthouse and Geth and Nevermind. That way that there's no risk from a single client concentration. Next slide. The benefit of this is that we provide an easy interface to stake any amount of ETH and be able to earn rewards and participate in consensus. We also have this benefit of if you're running a wallet or you're a custodial provider, we're able to do revenue share with those integrators. And the API, the staking API, provides a very seamless interface to interact with these smart contracts. You don't need to have a team of smart contract engineers understanding how a mildly complicated stake on stake pattern works. You're just able to use our APIs and hook right in and be able to perform all these actions fully on chain. And next slide. Oh, I think that's the end of the slides.
It sounded like you wanted to start freestyling it, Nick, maybe.
I love the enthusiasm though, Nick. I love it.
Yeah.
And anybody, if you have any questions, once again, as they keep on talking, any questions, please feel free, put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, I think what gets me excited about partial ETH staking or ETH staking without minimums is it really does, and we use the word democratize, but I think that's the most accurate way. It does democratize access to staking. Not everyone has 32 ETH. Not everyone wants a liquid staking token. Some people just want to participate in native staking on Ethereum, and they want to do that with whatever amount of ETH they have. So I think this type of product is needed. It really does help unlock staking for a large majority of folks. And I think this is truly, I think, what we want to do with crypto. We want it to be more open. We want it to be more permissionless, and this product kind of sticks to those values, which is great to see. I will say, I think there was a question potentially from others. This is currently available on ETH mainnet. I think there are a few questions around, are we supporting Ethereum staking directly from Base? The answer is not yet. The jury's still out. We're still trying to understand if that's somewhere that we need to go. And I appreciate it from everyone who's interested. If you are, reach out to me, DM. We'll definitely look into it. I think it's a very interesting idea and something we're still trying to understand in terms of the use case and the potential of what that could be. So with that, maybe I'll pause here. Kaelan, happy to jump into questions. I see a couple of maybe thoughts in the comment section, but yeah, happy to take it wherever you suggest.
Nice, amazing, and definitely everyone, if you have questions, definitely take Aaron up on that offer. DM him, ask him. We want to make sure that you guys are getting as much information as possible. So we'll go from there. But yeah, great. We've reached the Q&A segment. Like I said, if any questions, keep on posting in the chat. And if you feel comfortable, as I mentioned before, we'll pull you on up on the stage, and we will go from there. But then we also had a Google form, and we'll continue to do this prior to events for people to have the opportunity to ask questions that they have for Nick and Aaron in this case. We had a few questions there, so let me pull from those first. First of all, just what are you most excited about in the pipeline of staking API? I know you talked about a few different things here in the slides, but I'm curious, just off the cuff, what do you guys about?
So there's a couple of things. So I think for me, the next big one, which everyone hears me talk about, is 32 ETH staking. Ironically, yes, I love partial ETH staking and the ability to stake Ethereum without minimums. But what I really like about our 32 ETH staking implementation is a lot of the abstraction that we're doing behind the scenes. So to anyone has ever run an Ethereum validator or is familiar with Ethereum staking, there's a lot of infrastructure which is required to be spun up every time you want to stake, 32 ETH. And a lot of that complexity we've hidden from the users such that they can just, for developers, they just say the amount they want to stake and we handle everything behind the scenes. And I think that kind of clean implementation it's what's needed. It allows developers to really focus on adding value to their end users and not focusing on how they can manipulate infrastructure and balance efficiencies and whatnot. So I think for me, that's really exciting. I'll save my next one, but maybe Nick, I don't know if you want to add a slight different
I want to
view.
add to that, actually. I think the thing we found is that, Coinbase, we spend a lot of time stressing and sweating about how we can build the best infrastructure possible, how to make it as secure as possible, how to make it as efficient as possible. And with the design of 32 ETH, staking, we're kind of moving into a direction of you're coming and using our products because we are trying to make sure we are as trusted as possible, and you're trusting us to make the right decisions and build the right infrastructure and stake in the correct way, and that way customers can worry about just liquidity and making sure they're staking properly, making sure they're staking the right protocols. And I think our ETH implementation is a perfect example of that, leading into us as the trusted infrastructure provider and letting customers just worry about building the right product.
Yeah, and I should add as well, one thing which is kind of related to this is that all of this is going to be self-service. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing folks, especially on testnet, just play around with the API and truly create experiences which they couldn't have done before. We've got a few interesting clients who have reached out with some interesting use cases, and I just want to see more of that kind of launch and being open, just so it can inspire people. People can understand what they can do with a staking experience within their product.
I like it. We had a couple comments in the chat. I'm curious of what you guys think. Let's see. Telly Whale said, "I'm pretty sure staking isn't a process. I don't know if it's going in the right direction. Could be going in the wrong direction. Proof is not as friendly as speed." I'm curious, just off the cuff, if you had any insights there or wanted to add any.
I'm wondering if
go for it.
Go on, Nick. I was going to invite maybe Tellywell to come on stage. It could be an interesting conversation, but also happy to just provide some comments and go from there. But maybe go for it, Nick.
Before Nick goes, just want to ask if Tellywell is interested in coming on stage. Put in the chat that you're interested, and you can definitely join the conversation for sure. All right, here we go. That's what we got. Tellywell, welcome. Let's see. Did he join? Is he on there? Tellywell. Okay. Ask your question one more time. We've got Aaron and Nick here. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear
you.
We
can hear you.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Hey, so I got a couple of questions because I'm more into software development and into the transactional field of this situation. And there's a couple of things I'm not seeing going the right way for me. Like, I get I understand having the proof and the how you want to have a certain amount of proof, but at this point, I think we're at enough different proofs.
When you say proofs, are you saying
I feel like
different
proof of work, proof of stake?
And then you're saying, in terms of proof of stake, there's too many options out there. Ethereum obviously has its own way. Avalanche has its own way. Is it more just the differences between all of the different protocols coming up with their own versions?
Well, it ain't really that. I think what it is they make them so difficult to be able to integrate, well, different in a certain way, that I feel like some of these things are not going to be integratable. But maybe I'm just speaking out of context of what I'm thinking about. But I just feel like I'm seeing something that's going to happen with this situation here. Because I feel like where y'all going is correct. But where it's at, it might be a little bit too sloppy to clean up correctly.
I think that's where we're viewing the APIs coming in is like a way to clean up that differentiation, having us worry about making sure each protocol is working as we expect and make sure we're operating the validators and providing kind of this, like, we call it Web 2, but it's really just an API interface.
Correct.
And that way you don't have to worry about like the difference between Cardano versus Ethereum staking. You can just worry about, like, I have a wallet with Cardano on it. Let me stake that Cardano. I have a wallet with Ethereum. Let me stake that Ethereum. We're thinking in those type of verbs and not about like what's the minute difference between them. As far as the API service, under the hood, our teams are working to make sure all our staking is as optimized on each of those protocols. But that way, you as a user of the API, you don't have to sit there and like agonize over the difference. You can just go and be like, cool, I got Cardano, let's stake it.
Right. And I like where I'm hearing that part. That's the part I was waiting to hear. But I just felt like they did a lot too fast, too early. And like people like me, I've invested like my whole royalties on it. So, I'm really counting on it to do better.
Yeah, and I think it will with time as well. But for sure, I'll go back to what Nick was saying. Abstracting away all of that like complexity and the individual kind of like attributes of each protocol is definitely part of our job. And then hopefully for someone like yourself, your job will only be to interact with this more simplified interface. And we don't want to do that just for staking, to clarify, right? This is something which we're going to be offering across all of the capabilities on Platform SDK. So I think just in general, trying to build on-chain will get a lot easier with using the products that we've got on our roadmap. Staking being one of them as well.
I do agree. From what I've just heard, it was the first time I've heard good news towards where I'm trying to be at.
Love to hear it.
That's what we want right there.
So definitely appreciate answering my question. I do have another question though.
Make it happen.
I had a situation happen that I'm still dealing with actually as of right now, but I took a step back from using the Coinbase platform because of all the different integration issues that was going on at the beginning. So when I came back to the platform, there was so much that had been restructured and redone that I don't know if I'm the only one, but I definitely have more than one account. And that's definitely like it's becoming a real issue because they're like integrating things that I didn't want integrated in a sense. And if it was something that they were gonna not allow as a capability, I mean, it just kind of changed the whole outlook on the investment.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should definitely follow up, I think, with our support team. So maybe Kanan, we can have maybe Alex. I don't want to throw out names here, but maybe Alex follow up over Discord. We could just have a look into it. But yeah, you're completely right. There's been a lot of changes on the platform. We want to move quickly and iterate and get better. And I think with that has come a lot of change. Hopefully, you think the change is good, but I appreciate it's still change, and we still need to make sure that you can do what you need to do with the platform. So yeah, I think maybe Alex can follow up separately. Kanan, just let me know that's going to be possible as well.
Yeah, I'll take an action. I'm there. Same with Alex. Telly Well, you're a trailblazer.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for jumping on stage. Thanks for asking the question in the chat. And definitely keep on. If you have any more questions, post in the chat.
Definitely, most definitely.
Thank you. Okay, that was great. I love that. That was awesome. Some real live interaction. So we're here. Next question we have is, this is more so from a features and functionality standpoint. Can you explain the different types of data and metrics that can be accessed through the API, and kind of what you're most excited about there? And maybe we've touched on that a little bit, but anything else kind of context?
Yeah, so I think staking data, I mean, this actually goes back to what Tellywell was asking about. There are so many different proof of stake protocols. They all have their different nuances, and because of that, the rewards look very different. They're generated in different ways. Users receive them in different ways or at different times, and they're classified and spoken about and defined in different ways. And so when we talk about different rewards and the types, I think it really does depend on the protocol. What we do is, try and simplify that as much as possible. You always know your top level, attributed rewards which you've earned, which have been materialized. And then we also bucket them into, pending rewards, for example. But I would say if we were to deep dive, for example, in Ethereum, we are also investigating, kind of exploring the idea of breaking down reward types even further. So not only can you look at your materialized rewards and what you've earned, you can easily break those down into, okay, so which of those came from what are called consensus layer rewards versus execution layer rewards. And that won't matter to all developers, but there will be some developers, there will be some end users who do care about that level of detail. And that's what we're going to be able to do. So we're going to start by going what we call deep or depth first for ETH and Sol. And so you'll see on those networks that will break down a lot more reward types, will offer a lot more historical depth. But you can largely expect that across all protocols, at least, we'll have historical as well as pending rewards as well. Nick, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, which might answer that again more directly as well.
I think on the metrics topic, there's some other things we're building as well as making sure to incorporate, with Ethereum, if you're running 32 ETH validators, now you have to factor in that validator performance, whether it's active, whether it's unstaking, and trying to pull that data in to give people maybe not a direct timeline, because it's pretty hard to predict those things for unstake and exiting, but giving people a ballpark. And so that they know what they're dealing with when they're staking and unstaking, when they should expect rewards roughly, when they should expect to stop receiving rewards. And just understanding general validator performance, seeing uptime, understanding when we do take validators down for necessary maintenance, which is a very normal part of operating, but being able to be transparent with those metrics so that customers aren't caught off guard when they see a validator offline. I think those are all things we're looking at building into the API, on top of obviously the most important thing, which is keeping track of your rewards data.
For sure. And with keeping track of rewards data, but also you mentioned something very crucial there as well, the uptime, and also being able to see that. And speaking of that, whether it's up, if we have to kind of go down for a second on having everything up and running, whether it's for a network protocol upgrade or whatever it may be. The next question is, how does the API handle network upgrades or changes in staking protocols? What's kind of the process there, and how do we make sure that we're, making sure that the users can be, can have the product running?
Yeah. So I think there's an important call out to make at this point, which is for all protocols that we offer staking on, Coinbase is offering a self-custodial service. So at no point are we in control of the user's assets. At no point is the developer, unless they own the keys, in control of those assets. The holder of the asset or of the private key, which owns the asset, it always remains control of those assets. So when we talk about kind of like network upgrades and changes, there should be nothing that changes from that perspective. There's no point at which we may have to, change the way in which we pass back your assets in that way. You're always in some capacity going to have access to those assets. One other thing I would say is that it should hopefully be seamless to users or developers. They shouldn't even notice these changes for the most part. Now, there are some protocol upgrades, so I can think of like the Petra upgrade, which is coming in Q1 2025 on Ethereum. That's going to include, partial withdrawals, for example. So that might be additional functionality that we add and we introduce as a new method for developers to use. But that doesn't mean that functionality is necessarily going to be taken away or they're not going to be able to interact with the protocol in the same way. Really, we're trying to, I suppose, obfuscate some of those changes such that it only benefits them or at least allows them to use the API in a way that they would expect. So I think, again, very high level, non-custodial platform, just to clarify. We do not actually take hold of any of the assets. It's always going to be down to the protocol rules, but more specifically, again, the API is there to act as a buffer against all of those underlying protocol changes. And most developers hopefully shouldn't have to actually interact with those changes directly. Again, Nick, I'll look to you if you want to add anything there as well.
I think just plus one, you kind of covered it pretty thoroughly. This is meant to be an abstraction layer, and things like network upgrades should be ideally seamless. Ideally, you shouldn't feel that hiccup. If you do, We have a very strong, account management engagement team who will make sure that folks are alerted as needed for kind of blocking upgrades. But if anything, upgrades should bring new functionality, should expand what we can offer, like with Pectra. I don't see it as like a huge like shift when we have upgrades under the hood.
The last thing we want to do is interrupt anyone that's building with an upgrade. Like as Nick said, we have whether it's customer support, engagement managers in Discord, and with a lot of the other different customers that we have, just constantly sending messages to make sure that everyone's aware of any upgrade in the future. So good stuff. About 5 more minutes here. I want 2 more questions. Let's see. This next one, what resources are available for developers who need help with staking API? Where do you guys think they should go? Is it in Discord? Is it DM? Do we have certain documentation on the site? I'm curious what you guys think there.
Yeah, so I think the answer, and you probably know the answer better than I do, Caden, but the answer is all of the above. We want to speak to folks on Discord. We want folks to DM us. Nick, literally lives for this stuff. Not to put you on the spot, Nick, but we want to speak to more clients. We want to speak to more developers. Want to speak to more users, and we ultimately want to understand how you would like to see our API developed to help you with your use cases. So in terms of resources, of course, we have the technical documentation that's available to all. There's going to be YouTube videos that will be dropping soon. Things posted on socials, which will again be providing users with an overview of our products and services and walkthroughs. But I think even beyond that, if there is something that folks would like to see in addition to those resources, then they should certainly reach out. Staking is very dense. Understanding the different types of protocols, and again, Teddy Whale said it already, right? It's difficult to keep up with this stuff and understand the differences. But we're here to help. We have teams internally who live for this stuff and research on a regular basis, and we can share that as well with developers. So very much say all of the above. Contact us wherever makes sense for you.
Nick, anything to add there?
I just threw my Warpcast and Telegram on there. Yeah, it hit me on there. I'm on Discord, but we have a whole like Discord channel dedicated to staking. I'm in it. Aaron's in it. The engineering team's in it. If you run into anything, let us know there. Someone will get back to you. We'll make sure you get squared away. And like Aaron said, I live for this stuff.
He's not lying, ladies and gentlemen. He's we've been working together for last few years, and whether it's helping in this Discord, helping also with different clients that we worked with in tandem there. So whether it's Aaron, Nick, want to make sure you guys have as much access to information, help you guys build, help you guys use the product as much as possible. So appreciate the answer there. Okay, last question that we have here, and last question that I have. If anyone has any lasting questions, please put it in the chat, throw it in there. But if not, one of the people that were, let's see, said, "Hi folks, sadly won't be able to make it to the AMA, but had a question around staking on Base to see if that's on the roadmap." Everyone, especially this time, everyone wants to know about Base. Is there going to be a kind of intersection of the two? And we'll have to see if you guys have that answer.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say TLDR, it is something that's on our radar, but still not something we're actively investing in. That being said, we are looking to understand the use cases better. We want to understand why doing a swap for, CBE for an LSD isn't as useful. Maybe it's that folks want to have access to native Ethereum staking, and for that, completely understand. But we really want to make sure we get to the root of the problem that we're solving for there. So if there are other folks in the audience listening, or maybe even on the replays, definitely reach out to us, DM, let us understand what it is that you're trying to do, and why some of the existing options aren't good enough. But yeah, certainly not something that we're ruling out at all. So it's a great question.
Nick, anything to add there?
Just wonder what Aaron's got. Like, he covered it. He got it covered.
Tough person to follow behind on that.
Yeah, tough act to follow.
You got the next one, Nick.
Uh,
Telly Well, he came back. Telly Well is back, and he said, "I don't know if this is off subject, but can someone fill me in on futures trading?" I'm not sure if that's your guys' expertise. I'm not sure if that's something you guys want to go, touch on, but
We might have
not
to
my
save that one for a
expertise,
follow-up. Yeah.
that sounds good.
but here's some documentation I'll drop in the chat.
There you go.
Love that.
That's all our derivatives product, and we have a whole international exchange product. We have a bunch of options there. So I would check that out and then get connected with the team.
No, we weren't kidding. Nick lives with us.
Appreciate that.
I just live on the doc site, you know.
There we go. There we go. Documentation. Okay. Good stuff, you guys. Appreciate that. Appreciate you answering the questions. That brings us to the end of our staking API discussion. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure having you. Into the audience, like I said, and as Aaron and Nick had mentioned before, any additional questions, we want to help. We want feedback. We want to understand, what issues you're running into, how we can really just continue to innovate the product moving forward. So please don't be shy, and please use hashtag staking channel. Message us directly. Like I said, we want to help. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at our next CDP event, July 17th, to chat about our Coinbase on-ramp products. But other than that, that is all we have. Nick, Aaron, any last comments?
I just want to say, honestly, it's been a pleasure. It's been fun just having a talk about staking. This is truly the start of our journey, and so I'm looking forward to just seeing the roadmap develop, more folks using the products, and again, just more feedback from users on what they're seeing and how they feel about it. And lastly, last of all, I want to say thanks to you as well, Kanan. Appreciate you putting this together. It's been great fun.
Absolutely. I've had a blast. Thanks for coming. Nick, anything?
Glad to be here. Glad to get started talking about this stuff. If you have any questions, want to get started, let us know. We're happy to chat. We want to hear feedback. We want to know what you're building. We're looking to build with folks together. And if there are things that we're missing and you need, please reach out. We love taking that feedback and trying to build something that folks really love. And also go Celtics. Had to toss that in there.
There we go. Big championship for them. But all right, guys, thank you so much. And we will see you next time.